Hi guys, welcome back to another video. Today, because it is finally getting hot and sunny in the UK, it's no longer raining, touch wood, I'm going to be doing a summertime glowy bronzed sun-kissed sort of look, which you can wear literally every day, any occasion. Okay, so this is the sort of makeup that I like to do in the summer. Firstly, it's going to be something that's not heavy. I hate when you've literally got sticky makeup on your face and it's hot. Secondly, it's going to look like you've actually been out in the sun, maybe on holiday. You're going to be nice and glowy, which is what I need. I feel like I'm really not as tanned and happy as I should be. And most importantly, it's not going to move. No sweat or oils are going to make this makeup move. It's going to last all day. So let's get straight in. I'm already hot, so I feel like, yeah, we need to get this going. Alright, so I honestly don't know why I wear my natural hair down when it's this hot. So first thing I like to start with is prepping my face. This is going to be one of the most important things to make your makeup stay on all day, especially when it is so hot outside. So instead of using like a primer or anything, typically I always use a sunscreen and a moisturizer, also because you obviously want to protect your skin. If you don't have like a sunscreen for your face specifically, you can get foundations or makeup products which have SPF in them. One of my favourite ones is the NARS Tinted Moisturiser. It's SPF 30 and yeah, it's quite a light coverage foundation, which is really good for this sort of look. But mine literally has like the tiniest bit left in it, so I'm going to go ahead and use my sunscreen and moisturiser and go over it with a normal foundation. If you've got a thick sunscreen, stick some moisturiser in there and it will just make it go on so much smoother onto your face. Okay, next step, especially if you've got oily skin, but even if you don't, like me, it's still really important to do this because it's going to really help keep your makeup on, especially when you go out in the sun and you start like sweating and getting all greasy. Before I put any foundation or concealer on, I'm going to take this translucent powder, and all I'm going to do is take a small beauty sponge. Why again have I not got a mirror? I keep doing this in my videos. I start and then forget that I'm looking at the reflection of the camera, not an actual mirror. So I'm taking some powder on my sponge, and I'm first going to go in the areas which I have got creases naturally and the areas which I find get most oily. So I always get really bad creases in my smile lines, so I'm going to pat a lot of powder onto there. And then also under my eyes. So you don't need to put that on really neat, it's literally just so the powder will absorb all the oils, especially because we just put a heavy sunscreen on. So if you've got really oily skin, then I'd say put a little bit more powder on. If you've got quite dry skin naturally, only really focus on those areas that are more oily than others because you don't want your skin to dry out. Okay, next I'm going to take a big fluffy brush, and again with a translucent powder, I'm just going to brush away all of that excess powder that I just put on. And I'm just going to smooth that out really lightly, brushing that over my entire face as well. And just because my eyelids get quite greasy, I completely forgot to do this a minute ago, I'm going to put some powder specifically over my eyelids with the sponge. So you see, compared to when I had the sunscreen on, that's kind of mattified my face. And this is going to give it a base to sort of stick onto so that everything stays nice and still. Okay, next, now this step is optional because we're going to be using not much product on our face. It's going to be more of a natural look today. If you have got any like spots or blemishes which you do want to cover, then what I like to do is go in with a little bit of concealer, and then we're going to let that dry. Really important that you let it get as tacky as possible. That way it's going to cover up the blemishes a little bit more without having to use so much concealer. Okay, and once that's tacky, I'm going in with the same sponge and I'm just going to very lightly pat that in in all those areas. Okay, next I'm going to go in with my normal foundation. If you've got a light coverage one, great. If you don't, like me, just use less product. Okay, and I've got that on like a big buffing brush. And I'm going to lightly dot it just all over my face first. Okay, and then I'm going to really carefully sort of buff it in without rubbing it too much. Because if I rub it too much, it's just going to move around all that powder that I put on before. Cool, and you see how that's given me quite a lot of coverage, considering I put like literally one little dab on it. Okay, so this is going to be sort of the main base that I've got, and I'm not going to put too much more on top of it, because the more you put on, the more chance it's going to move, and the more chance you're just going to look like a sweaty mess by the end of the day. So all I like to do is go in with a little bit of cream contour, and I'm going to put the tiniest bit of concealer on. Again, with the cream products, when I'm blending those in, I'm not rubbing, I'm literally patting everything into my skin. And you can see that's brightened up my under eye a little bit, but again, I try not to use too much concealer, because I find that it just creases and just goes everywhere if I put too much on. Cool, and I'm going to press all of that in with the big buffing brush that I had my foundation on, just to make it look more natural, because I don't want too many harsh lines, especially with my contour, because we're going for more of a natural look. Plus, when it's hot outside, you've got more chance of your makeup moving, so I don't want any like really sharp, precise lines that have more chance of going down my face. Now, before I go in with any powder, I'm going to take some of my setting spray, and this is a really important step. Okay, so I put quite a lot of that on. I like to do this after I put all the creams on, and then again once I set everything with a little bit of powder. Just make sure everything is in place. Okay, can you see that nice glow that I've got already? So I've got a really nice glowy look going on, but we can't just leave it like that, unfortunately, because yeah, it's gonna, if you don't set it with any powder, it's just gonna move. But I'm not gonna use too much powder, just because I want to keep some of that glow, and I don't want to put too much product on top of my makeup, because if you get really sweaty, it's just gonna go really cakey. So I've got this big fluffy brush, and I've just put some of that translucent powder onto it. But before I put it on my face, I'm just going to mix that into the lid, okay? And then I'm going to lightly, very lightly, just pat that all on top of my face. Okay, and the reason that I put it into my lid first is mainly so that when I pat it onto my face, it doesn't go all like patchy. It's like even. And again, I don't use hardly any powder, just enough to cover the whole face, and I'm not baking or anything under my eyes. I'm just coating everything so that it stays throughout the day, but so that it's not too heavy as well. So that has definitely mattified everything, which is great, but we have lost some glow. So I'm gonna add a very, very small bit of bronzer. And again, I'm just very, very lightly stroking that on. Okay, and then to top that off, I'm going to go in with some blush. And I do like to use quite a bit, just to give my cheeks that really rosy, like sun-kissed sort of look. And again, rather than like brushing it on, I'm sort of patting that into my skin. Okay, and for my eyes, I'm not putting any eyeshadow on there because that is definitely going to smudge. Then I'm going to go in with a little bit of mascara. If you've got a waterproof one, that is probably the best option, but I don't. And then I'm going to put I'm going to do my brows, so I'll be back. brows are on and I've got a little bit of mascara on. One thing that I like to do with my brows is always set it with a brow mascara or even like a little bit of translucent powder, and that way if you're using like a brow gel then it's not going to smudge or anything. And then also for mascara, if I know I'm going out in the sun, I never put it on my lower lashes just because, yeah, it just smudges regardless. Okay, so to finish everything off, we're going to go back in with a setting spray. Okay, and I'm going to let that dry quickly before it completely dries. I'm going to show you what products I'm using for highlight. So I've got this Anastasia, it's the Sun Dipped Glow Kit. Okay, and I really like to use these colours, especially, well, for my skin tone, I kind of like the bronzy one and also this one. Okay, and this is going to really give my face a nice, like, sun, like, glowy look. Just while that setting spray is still a little bit tacky, I'm going to dip in with a small fluffy brush. I'm just going to lightly dust that. So you can see the difference, like look at that side compared to that side. Okay, and this really helps because I did use quite a lot of powders to sort of mattify my face so that my products stay on. So now I'm just bringing back that nice sort of bronze shimmery glow to my face. So I feel like a liquid highlighter is better to make it more natural. So the way that I am able to use my powdered ones is I'll spray the setting spray onto it just before it's sort of nearly dry, then I'll put that glow on and it still looks really natural and like it's actually part of your skin, rather than sometimes if I just brush this highlighter onto my face when it's completely dry, it just looks like highlighter. Like it looks like I've just put it on top of my face and it just looks like glitter. Okay, which is fine, but I just like to have more of like a natural glow which looks like it's coming from within my face. Okay, and I also like to put some of that highlighter onto like my chest and my collarbone. Okay, and for lips, literally I've just put on Vaseline. Okay. Okay. And yeah, that is how I like to do my everyday sort of glowy look. Okay, it's nice and light on my face and I promise you that this literally stays on all day. I've worn this makeup to work for the past 2 days and I've been outside at lunch walking around in the heat. I even took a nap yesterday. And yeah, it lasts. So give this a go, let me know how you get on. If you've got any other tips and tricks, then please let me know. One other thing that I forgot to mention, what I will take out with me is just a little powder puff. If I do get really hot and a bit greasy throughout the day, I can just dab that up. And the reason I prefer to do that rather than actually taking out my powder, firstly because this is big and it's not convenient to carry, but also even if you get like the compact powders, I find that if you keep putting on more powder, it does soak up the oils and everything, but it just makes your makeup more cakey because you're just adding more and more makeup to it. So that's why I just like to use like a little powder puff. And yeah, so thank you for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed. Go and check out my other videos if you want to see all my other makeup looks and hair tutorials. I will be doing a brow routine as promised very soon, so make sure you look out for that. And I will see you again next week. Bye.